Hey folks, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our Half Acre Homestead. Sorry if my eyes are running, I just peeled a bunch of onions. Today we're going to make a dish that in my family is traditionally made with chicken. And it has many names in my family. I've heard it called chicken paprika, chicken peppakosh, chicken perka, chicken Peppakosh. But everybody does it a little different. Everybody calls it something different and makes it their own. But today we're going to make it my way, and we're also going to make it homestead way, because instead of chicken wings or chicken drumsticks, we're using rabbit wings. So many things are different in this recipe, but there are some things that are always the same, and one is the chicken, which of course is rabbit. So let's call it rabbit perka. How about that? Anyway, or rabbit peppakosh. Well, anyway, we have rabbit, which you would use chicken if you don't have rabbit. Paprika. Might be easier if I do this. Rabbit, paprika, salt, pepper, a little bit of vinegar. Some people can use white wine if they like. And onions and potatoes. Now, you use almost as many onions as you do potatoes. That's the secret. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the onions, and we're just going to saute them lightly. Get that skin off of there. In the skillet here, or in the cast iron frying pan. In a little bit of olive oil, just to get them sweating. Alright, just to get the flavor moving. And while those are, we're just going to put them, a little bit of olive oil, and we're going to put the lid on that. And then we're going to take, I don't know how well you can see this. Let's see. There we go. Then we're going to take our potatoes. We're just going to dump those in the crock pot. And we're going to add just a splash, and I mean just like a tablespoon or two of vinegar. We're not going to put any seasoning in first. We're going to put just a splash of water, just enough until the potatoes and the onions start giving off their liquids. Alright, and as soon as these onions have started to, and they're almost starting to sweat a little bit, but as soon as they're ready to go in, we'll be back. Okay, our onions have started to sweat. As you can see, that just means they're shiny a little bit, but they're not really cooked. We're just going to lift them out and put them in on top of our potatoes. You could just toss them in, but you know, what we're doing is we're building a base in the crock pot for the rabbit to sit on. This is a really simple dish, and you can serve it over noodles or you can serve it with a salad. Now we're going to turn up our frying pan a little bit. We're going to add a little bit more olive oil, and we're going to let that heat up, and we're just going to brown our frozen meat on either side. There's the base for our rabbit peppakosh. Once this olive oil is heated up nicely, which I can hear it crackling in there, we're just going to put this frozen section of rabbit wings, and when I say wings, I mean the front legs, and we're just going to basically sear it a little bit to get things moving. We're going to put our crock pot on low. These make great wings, by the way. Put some pepper right on the wings. Now, like I said, you can use chicken drumsticks, chicken wings, chicken legs. I just want to get this started a little bit. It only takes a minute or two. You don't even have to get them all done. Just get the first one started. Alrighty. Now we're going to lift this into the crock pot, just like that. And we're just going to pour this bit of olive oil over top here. Now the magic happens. I know people say that about bedrooms, but that's not. When I say magic, I'm talking kitchen magic. Alrighty. Now, we're going to put in about a half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, maybe one. And then we're going to put in about 4 tablespoons of paprika. And we're just going to coat it, because this is going to come out red. That looks like about 4 or 5 tablespoons, don't you think? And that, my friends, is that. We're just going to put a lid on it, and we are going to let this slow cook That's what it looks like. And eventually what's going to happen is the little bit of vinegar and water and olive oil are going to stew the potatoes and the moisture out of the potatoes and the onions. And this is all going to cook down into like this big, red, lumpy stew. And oh my goodness, you put a dollop of sour cream on it and it is just going to send your taste buds south. I'm not kidding. Anyway, there we go. Rabbit peppakosh, and we will be back later when it's just about ready to dish up. It's that simple. I almost forgot an ingredient. You're supposed to add chicken broth, about a cup of chicken broth in the bottom, just enough to, you know, for that splash of water and that vinegar to give flavor to. I don't have any chicken broth, folks, and I certainly don't have any rabbit broth yet, but I'm going to use a can of my home canned beef broth because broth is broth. And this will probably just give it another wonderful flavor. So I'm just going to put this down the side there. And now we'll be back when this is ready. There it is. All right, folks. Since we're having our rabbit peppakosh, I thought I'd make some nice dinner rolls. And so to start that, I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of warm water. Remember, err on the side of cool. Hot water will kill yeast. And I'm just going to sprinkle on about 2 teaspoons of yeast here. We'll be right back. In this bowl, I have 1 cup of milk, 1 beaten egg, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 3 tablespoons of softened butter. This is warm milk, not hot, warm. And we're going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Then we're just going to take our yeast mixture. We're going to gently whisk in our milk, butter, sugar, and egg. Now we have 3 cups of flour. My flour, of course, is whole wheat. It's not always whole wheat, but you're just going to gently whisk in 1 cup of flour to begin with. And then we're going to add a 2nd cup of flour. I always keep, you know, it calls for 3 cups of flour, but I keep 3.5 so that I can flour the board here, or the cloth. All right, I'm going to change over to a wooden spoon because this is going to get sticky. And we're going to put in the remaining cup of flour, leaving about a 1/2 cup. Now this is going to make like a sticky dough, and once this is together, we're going to turn it out onto the board and knead it just like you would bread. Now I've never made this before, folks, so, you know, forgive me if it doesn't turn out. All right, you got a nice sticky dough there. I may need a bit more flour, but you don't want too much flour. You want it somewhat sticky because this is not bread. This is dinner rolls. Now these aren't going to be pretty white dinner rolls because, like I said, I use whole wheat flour. Let's scrape the rest of this out of here. You want some flour on your hands too. You don't want to overwork it and put too much flour in. You want your dough to be smooth and elastic. And before I get my hands on this, I'm going to grab some more flour out of the cupboard just in case. Just in case we need a little more. There we go. Oh, that's lovely. It's soft and gooey. And you want it to be slightly sticky, but not necessarily sticking to your hands like mine just did. You want it to be smooth and elastic. Now I think that is going to be just about right. That's white flour. Alrighty, I'm going to oil a bowl so that we can see how that's nice and elastic like that. Alright, I'll be back when I have my bowl oiled for this to rise in. Now I've just got about, 2 tablespoons of oil in the bottom of this bowl. I'm going to pop my dough in there, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to swirl it around a little bit. We want it covered in oil so that it doesn't stick. And we're going to let that rise for about 2 hours. Okay, our dough's risen to about twice its size. We're just going to pop this out on here. We're not going to pop it out or punch it down or abuse it in any way. We're just going to get ourselves a nice sharp knife, and we are going to cut this into 12 pieces. So that is, well, supposed to be 12 pieces. So we'll just make this one like this, and then we just kind of shape. Now remember folks, I have never done this before. Set these on the parchment here, fairly close together, so that when they rise, they'll kind of come together. You want them all roughly the same size, because you want them to kind of stick together when they rise, you know. I'm going to warm this cloth up in the oven. Well, I was supposed to end up with 12. Oh well. Alrighty. We're just going to put this here. Take our warmed cloth. And just lay it over top, and we'll let those rise again. Oh. Alrighty, our rolls have risen, and we're going to pop these in a 350 degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. So we'll be back when these come out of the oven. Well, here they are, folks, and aren't they just the prettiest dinner rolls you have ever seen? Look at that. Now these are going to be served up. These are going to be served up with our rabbit peppakosh, and I'm going to cover these with a tea towel and let them stay warm until Daddy gets home for supper. We'll be back when supper's on the table. All right, I'm going to add the sour cream. This is the final touch to our dinner. Trust me, it looks awful, folks, but this is so good. We'll be back when this gets dished up to the table. There we go. Rabbit peppakosh. Wait a second. Gotta garnish it. Here it is, folks. Looks like stew. Tastes like heaven. A little bit of fresh chopped baby spinach on there, and Papa's gonna want pepper because he always does. You didn't show them very. I'm going to show you these dinner rolls. Look at that. They just fall apart. Bon appetit, Papa.
Very nice. Put that camera in my face.
This is the Mrs. Volpe from our Half-Acre Homestead saying rabbit peppakosh and fresh dinner rolls, always a hit, especially in winter. Take care.
I'm half fed down here. I'm half fed down here. I'm half fed down here.